Welcome back to the bonus stage on GameSpot, day 3 of E3. I'm your host, John Davison. This is something we've never done before. This is the guys from IGN.
John has never done me.
I have never done you.
You have never done me before. What's
so
up, John?
Tal and Casey from IGN.
How are you, John?
You're our neighbors. They're right next door.
We are, and in San Francisco as well.
And contrary to popular belief, we don't all hate each other in the games press.
We don't. I've known you for probably over a decade, or
at
close
least,
to it,
yeah.
Around there. At least, yeah. We're old now.
We're old now.
Old.
Thank you for pointing out on Twitter that today was Old Fart
Old
Day
Fart
on
Day.
GameSpot.
It is Old Fart Day. You have a bunch of old farts here talking about E3.
Oh, back in my day, it was like me and Jeff Green got into that a bit. We were talking about XCOM, which it scared us that the original XCOM was 1994.
Yeah, well, and look at too, like it's been talking about old farts and old fogies. SimCity too, like all these revamps of these old franchises that are looking really good, right?
Yeah.
Like XCOM looked awesome, SimCity looked great. It's a really great time to be like, you know, an old school gamer and seeing all these games that are kind of being redone and reborn.
Yeah. How about you, Casey? What you've seen you like?
I love the new Tomb Raider. And speaking of another sort of re-envisioning or reboot.
Yep, exactly.
Halo 4 is a lot of fun. Looks
Yeah.
great. Some of the newer stuff looks really cool too. Like I just went and saw Watch Dogs. Obviously that debuted during Eve's conference, but that looks really cool. Also Metro Last Light looks good
yep.
too.
But really, I have to say too, Ubisoft's lineup in general just was so impressive. I mean, that to me, Ubisoft ruled E3 this year. From an outside perspective, looking at the conferences, if you only saw the conferences, I'm sure you wouldn't think that E3 was necessarily really that impressive or that huge this year. There's actually a lot of great content on the floor, and Ubisoft did have a great showing in almost all the conferences except for EA's. If they could figure out a way to infiltrate EA's conference, then they could have ruled them all. But there's great content on the show floor this year. I mean, it's going to be a really exciting 18 months.
Yeah.
And with Assassin's Creed 3 and Splinter Cell, it's looking amazing, and Far Cry 3, they're just really good top-notch stuff.
So we completely changed the way we did our Best of E3 award. Like in the past years, it had ballooned to this, 30, 40 awards we give out in genres by platform. This year we said, all right, we're going to limit ourselves. We're going to give 12 awards. None of them categorized, just 12 things that we thought were awesome.
Oh, so you're just doing like, here are 12 things
Here are 12
E3.
things that are awesome at E3. And it was quite hard.
Yeah.
Because even though coming in, everyone was like, oh, it's not that much that's awesome. When you start digging into it, there's a lot that's awesome.
We were saying the same thing. We're like, I'm not really excited about E3 this year. It seems like it's a lot of sequels. We're at the end of a cycle, obviously. So, there's not much new and innovative things. There actually is quite a bit of amazing stuff. We just went to go see the Last of Us demo, and that looks, talk about this psychology and pressure of society, after the fall of society, really reminded me more of the Walking Dead graphic novel than anything I've ever seen in a video game. And really these decisions of, should I be this evil monster and take out these people who I don't even know, because who can you trust anymore when the society falls apart?
Have you seen Dishonored?
Yes, Dishonored looks great.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed by Dishonored. Did you over at Bethesda? Speaking of Bethesda, that was one of the first appointments I had on day one. Did you get a chance to check out the 3D visor, or not 3D visor, the VR visor that John Carmack was showing off? So that thing was crazy. So I've seen VR visors before, and they've been, they refresh slow. They're slow to react, so you'll turn your head and it, goes after you. So
there's no peripheral vision, which is weird.
Exactly. So and it just kind of messes you up. This was, full screen vision, and it looks hilarious because, you've seen the Sony visor that looks like sleek. This was just basically a black piece of plastic pasted on your face, literally with duct tape, because it's not production or anything. This is just technology. John Carmack, John Carmack it actually is high tech. It just looks like, really low tech. But John Carmack, was there showing it off, and he says, I've been spending the last 6 months boning up on my Newtonian optics. I was like, well, of course you have, John. Like, video games and rockets haven't been enough for you, so of course this is what you've been doing with your time. But taking a look at it, full field of vision, and you feel like you're actually moving in the Doom, remake, the HD remake that they're re-release that they're doing. You feel like you're moving so much to the point where your chest moves forward because you feel like you're walking, so you're getting the full motion. And like a couple times I had to pull myself back from falling over because you're not actually moving. You just you're tricking your brain into feeling you're moving.
Did you see it?
It was really cool.
No.
And John says it's going to get even better because they're working on getting the lag down even more. I think
so it's stereoscopic, full wrap.
Yeah, I think he said it was 60 hertz. And I mean, he was throwing out.
And
of course, John was throwing out all these numbers that I was like, All right.
And it head tracks as well.
That's what it does. So right now they only have the gun that you can move up and down. They're going to get side to side as well, is what he hopes. But your head is independent from the gun. So unlike most of them, where VR would be you're actually moving the gun and the gun is attached to your head. You're looking around and you can move the gun independently, at least up and down. So I'm sitting there and I'm actually like looking around in the environment in Doom 3. There's a lost soul flying around and I'm following it. It was both impressive and disorienting. Once you take it off, you're like,
wow,
whoa, I'm back in the real world.
So then the last time I tried a virtual reality thing for any length of time was probably back in the early 90s with those ones that had the massive, what were they called? The VFX or whatever?
VFX, that's exactly what I was talking to John about.
And it weighed like 20 pounds hanging off the front of your head. Yep. You had to stand in those sort of circular booths that you had to stand in. And it was terrible.
And it was just kind of like polygons and slow to update.
It looked
the big polys.
Not quite as good as Virtua Fighter 1.
I have to say, when I came into the show, I did not have this mustache, and after seeing that, this actually had grown on my face since then, after using that. So I'm not sure what John's putting in that thing. But yeah,
I'm impressed that you're keeping the waxing going.
It's been surprisingly cool in Los Angeles. It hasn't been overly warm, so the wax is holding up.
So what have you guys been up to? Have you been mostly out on the floor? Are you doing stuff on?
I've been doing a little bit of everything. I've been actually seeing a lot of product this year, which has been fantastic. Went to all the conferences. We've been seeing a lot of demos and live demos, just like you guys have been doing. But yeah, just everywhere you step on the show floor, you're seeing something that's actually really good. Again, which from the conferences, like, I'm sure your impression is probably very similar. I thought the conferences felt really flat this year.
Yeah.
With a few, choice moments, the conferences felt really flat.
We managed to cut them all down to under 4 minutes. So our UK team did these mashup videos, and it's like the whole thing in 4 minutes, and they all came in under.
Yeah. And as you know, and as we know, Ubisoft kind of has a reputation for maybe having the more outlandish shows in the past, their conferences in the past. Although this one kind of lived up to a little bit.
They were pushing all the right buttons. They were just pushing them wrong.
Wrong. Yes, exactly. But their show was outlandish. But Aisha Tyler was great this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought she was hilarious. But the content they kept showing was just so good. Their lineup again is just so impressive to me.
So I was saying we gave 12 awards. We gave 4 of them to Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So they took a full third of our thing.
Assassin's Creed 3 is personally my game of the show. My personal choice for game of the show. I was just amazed when they broke out the sea level, the naval battles. I was like Tom Clancy's Pirates all of a sudden.
So Tim Schafer was on. He was talking about back in the Monkey Island days, they wanted to do ship combat, and he's like, somebody finally did it the way that it needs to be done.
Yeah,
right. I know that's what we've all been talking about. Like, we just want to play that game.
Yeah.
Like a full 3D, Sid Meier's Pirates game.
Yes.
But with that kind of combat and the way the ocean looked and the physics and how the weather changed, I mean, it's a totally separate game.
Ubisoft, make that game. Make that a full
It
experience.
had some like melodrama to it. Even the way he was standing and he had the big long blue coat, and it was very like
absolutely. And the guy looking out, over the deck.
The way that they were working on all the the ladders and everything and hanging off the ship. I loved how too. Right when he got behind the wheel and he said, "Hoist the mast," it just took off like he stepped on the wheel.
The speed seemed a little off from realistic physics, but the wave physics and everything were so impressive in that. And they shoot and everybody kind of ducks as the cannonballs go over.
Then all the cannonball fire at the same time and leading the fire.
And they had the chain cannonball.
And the fact that they could do that. So I mean, Jaffe was just here while you guys were waiting. We were talking about 5 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that this generation could do the stuff that we're seeing this year.
Exactly, and I think that's a huge theme of this show. I mean, although there are a few next-gen things here, PC dev units.
1313 is definitely not running on a 360.
No,
exactly.
It's on a very high-end PC with thanks to NVIDIA, right?
So, even though there are a few next-gen things here, we really are seeing, again, being the end of the cycle, we're seing some of the most impressive use of this hardware that we're going to get, because everybody, knows how to squeeze the most out of the memory. Everybody knows how to use, all the graphical memory to get the best acuity they can out of there. So things just look incredible. I mean, comparing Assassin's Creed 3 to even 2 and even, to 1 before that. And we're talking about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider looked beautiful.
And Tomb Raider looks so good. We got to play it, and they showed a ton of new content. I love Tomb Raider.
So yeah, I mean, just what people are able to do now with those engines. You want to talk a little bit about 1313? Sounds like you saw it.
I haven't seen their game. I've just been around.
Seen the video?
Yeah, I've seen the video, and I've been around people that have seen it, who just won't shut up about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was super impressive. It's a tech demo at this point. I mean, they're showing what they want to do with gameplay elements, but obviously they don't have a full game there yet. But that is giving you a glimpse into being that's running on PC dev hardware, what we're going to see out of the next generation. Whenever Microsoft and Sony
there's
really
like
announce.
the first time I've seen graphics that have presence. Like it looks like it belongs there.
Yeah.
Even the laser bolts look like they belong there.
Well, they have the best hair I've ever seen in video games.
And the lighting is really consistent, and there's just I can remember back when they showed us Pod Racer for episode 1.
Yep.
And Tom Sarris saying, "Oh, we're sharing assets with ILM." And we're sort of like, yeah, sure you are. But this, ILM are doing the graphics.
Exactly, yeah, totally. And I mean, these look like they're pretty close to movie renders almost. I mean, we're going to get there, I think, faster than we think. I mean, and this is the stuff that we're seeing where they're modeling where we're going for next gen. I can only imagine once we're 2 or 3 years into the next gen console cycle, what we're actually going to be seeing too.
So we've seen a ton of free-to-play stuff. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah.
Well, PlanetSide 2 is free to play.
Family Guy Online.
What were some of the other ones that?
Hawken, have you seen that?
Hawken,
yeah, that's right.
Which
I personally haven't seen it. Charles on our
Which
PC
is even
team.
more
did you see
amazing
it?
when you realize the team is just like half a dozen people.
Yeah, exactly.
What else have we seen?
But I'm really looking forward to Hawken. I mean, from everything I've seen, I didn't get to see it at the show yet. Maybe I'll run over after this. But Charles said it was absolutely
Bouncy
awesome.
robots.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think that's the way. There will still always be those retail games that you'll pay a lot of money for, but I think a lot of people are looking at that free-to-play model and seeing like how well it can actually, you can make a lot of money on free-to-play, oddly enough to say.
The other one that's giant too is, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but World of Tanks is, like, that's crazy.
Have you ever talked to Victor, the guy that runs Wargaming?
Yeah.
What an awesome guy.
Yeah. They have an incredible booth. I mean,
obviously,
obviously, they've just been taking in money hand over fist. And I heard, you talking to Jaffe before, and you guys were saying the same thing. Those guys have figured it out, and that's exactly how the model, for free-to-play should work. Now, we were just talking about last night. I don't know if free-to-play is a great moniker for them to use, and maybe they need to change the nomenclature a little bit there. Because I think instantly people get this idea of free-to-play being like this less than premium game experience.
And why does it have to be the selling point either? Like, when was the last time somebody sat down and said, here's the new Splinter Cell game, and it's $59.99 at MSRP? Like, why is that the headline?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think people that's just going to be a new model that people are just going to be used to, and it's just going to be commonplace for games. We're going to see a lot more free-to-play games in the next couple of years.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of pros here as well. But E3 has never, before this year, not taken pro gamers seriously, and they're everywhere now.
I know.
You guys have them, we have them.
Yep.
A lot, we're seeing them with the Ubisoft stuff, or EA aren't using them for anything, but we're starting to see a lot of people talking about bringing pros in. The PlanetSide 2 thing is hosted by pro gamers. So it's something else for people to aspire to, I think, which is good.
There's a lot of convergence going on right now, and esports is finally making it to North America, and coming on in a big way.
Yeah. So are you guys involved in the IPL stuff at all?
I mean, not directly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously IGN is involved and runs IPL, and we're actually over at doing some Dead or Alive 5. They actually have some pro players over there in Texas,
right?
Yep. So, I mean, even though we're not directly involved with it, we're tangentially involved with it, and we know all the guys over there, of course, and we do coordinate with them.
Do you cover stuff that they do?
Yeah.
Or they do their own stuff?
Well, we do more video coverage because I think that's really where the interest is, right?
Yeah.
Video and commentary. If we go and write about it, like write about a match, it's the match is already over by that point, and do people really care about that? Where it's really the live running commentary, so very similar kind of setups to what you guys do.
What else did I want to ask you? It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. I'm surprised you can sit here and not fall asleep, John. It's like, these are comfy couches.
They are very comfy couches.
What about, like, the big talk of the show is second screens?
Yeah.
And that's not cool, but nobody's talking about the other giant trend, which is
bows and arrows.
It's neck stabbing. Like
and neck
everyone's getting stabbed in the neck
yeah.
in these games and in these trailers. But bows and arrows too. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, So Jeff Gersman on Giant Bomb has this whole year of the bow hashtag he's trying to get going.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
every freaking game has a bow and arrow.
Bow and
Right, yeah, we did a video montage of all the bows and arrows and then all the next
Next
stabs,
stabs.
and it's a long video.
Yeah.
I mean, for whatever reason, that's the
It
thing
seems
now.
like a very violent video game E3 this year. Even though, again, walking around
Oh,
the
it
show
was
floor,
brutal, yeah.
it wouldn't necessarily, see that on the show floor in every game. But at the conferences, again, like every single montage they showed splash screen, it was like heads being blown off and necks being
And a real kind
stabbed.
of tribal vibe in the audience too. Like
Right, yeah.
when anything really bad happened, the cheers were on.
Right.
Yeah, I actually, was talking to Pear about it. And I said, if you show Congress any of the videos from any of the conventions, they would wonder like what is going on here exactly. There would be questions going on about that. So I think.
And it was all on TV.
I know there needs to be
I
some.
know, especially like the intro to Far Cry 3, that
Yeah.
demo with the woman, and there's
DualShock. You think there's going to be DualShock in the opening, John? That's what I'm
and,
asking.
you know,
I'm wondering. Do you have full
went
control?
there.
then there's strong language, and
You've been
just
away
people
from
get
home for a long
hacked.
time. You're like finding your thrills wherever you can.
I've been rooming with him,
Yeah.
so yes.
So he's going to sleep like this
exactly,
tonight.
exactly. I have been away from home, happily married. Yeah, but it's been that kind of show. It's weird how the conferences, I don't think, have done a good job of reflecting actually what the whole vibe of the show really is.
Well,
this year.
Nintendo felt the need to have 2 extra, whatever it was they call them.
They had 5 total briefings of some kind
Yeah.
that were either televised or giant hosted events.
It
I
was a
would have
little
quite
over.
happily
5.
taken one condensed, information-rich 20-minute thing that had everything in it with no fluff.
Yeah.
Because the one last night was a little
I
dry.
think, yeah, and the one the night before that was the same information it was a little more in-depth, a little more hands-on stuff, but like no new information. I really was expecting a lot more, speaking of Nintendo specifically, a lot more out of Nintendo this year
Yeah.
for new
I mean,
announcements.
this was their time to come out and shine and brag and and stomp the ground and say, we use coming out this year. It's going to be awesome. This is what we're doing that's totally different. This is why we've differentiated. This is why you should care. And they didn't
We
really
thought
do
they'd
that.
be all over all of us on the particularly those of us that are doing live stuff, to kind of open the show with stuff and then just sort of. I was expecting, okay, we want to block out your first like 5 things. Can you accommodate that? But it was like, well, we're going to do one game. And then the third parties can't bring the hardware, so you've got to go to them. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we did more third-party stuff than we did first-party.
Yeah.
And so it's baffling.
And again, Ubisoft, Zombie U actually looks really good.
Yeah. That's the one that seems to be polarizing people more than anything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks great.
Yeah. It was fun to play. We played it over at the Nintendo booth a little bit. I want that big. I don't know why at the end they just didn't know. Obviously, they're going to be working on a Metroid. They're going to be working on a Zelda game. They're going to be working on a Mario game. Why not at the end of the conference? Right after Reggie said, "I hope everybody has a good E3," and everybody was kind of confused. Like, is it done?
it?
Are we going to stand up? Are we supposed to leave? Why didn't he go? Oh, and one more thing.
You think it would have
Learn from
full-on
Steve
Steve
Jobs,
Jobs moment,
exactly.
right?
And just a logo or something, just to get, because everybody would go crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't seem for the console coming up so soon, right? I mean, it's another 5 months away. Approximately 4 or 5 months. This holiday season. I just didn't get the excitement level that I should have from a launch lineup, right?
Right.
No big surprises, nothing.
And I
new.
mean, there's no release date, there's no price. Their big announcement, you can use 2 controllers, like a Genesis, like goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Now let me, you have kids, John.
I
Let me
have
ask you
kids,
this.
yeah.
So this is something that somebody brought up to me that I thought was a very good point. You have this system where you're trying to encourage multiplayer, play on this system, and somebody has a unique experience and has a unique controller, and maybe 2 people do, but probably one of, there's probably going to be a focus on the one controller. What's going to happen when you get a bunch of kids together and they all want that one controller because that's the special toy, right?
Yeah. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my boys right now, they'll fight over. So there's 2 iPads in the house. And I set up Game Center accounts on each one for each of them, but really limited it. So now, if one of them downloads a game on one of the iPads, because I don't give them the password, They can't download it on the other one, so then they'll fight over the iPad that has the game on it that they want if I'm not around. So
Exactly.
the idea that, okay, I'm going to be the one that's messing with the level in Rayman and you just have to play it. There's going to be some sort of big brother stuff going on there, I think.
Because I don't think they're going to be patient enough to be like, well, you can, the next game you'll be able to play. I was a kid. I wasn't patient enough. I'm not patient
8,
enough
9,
today.
10-year-old kids aren't that nice to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I just don't feel, and you hit on that too. I don't feel Nintendo did a great job of explaining why this is innovation, why this is unique, why this is any different than one screen, two screen.
Yeah.
And there is. I mean, there is a lot of stuff in there. I just don't think they did a good job of explaining it to the average consumer.
And that's the thing that,
or even us.
None of this is to say that it's not those things and that we shouldn't believe in it, but it's their job to
show it,
evangelize their product.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the global audience. This is the time. Everyone's watching. It just seemed like a big miss. So.
All right, so before we wrap, you've got an hour and a bit left before the end of the show. Is there anything you've not seen that you want to go check out?
I want to go over and check out Hawken.
Yeah.
I heard really good things about Hawken. I've seen most of the big stuff that I set out to see. Let's see if there's anything big that I'm missing. Actually, I do want to get over. I haven't seen Aliens Colonial Marines yet. I do want to check out what they're doing there, because that's something, it's a 4-player co-op game. I'm really into those. I play with my friends around the country, so it's cool to have something like that, and I want to see what's going on with that. What about you, Casey?
I think I've seen pretty much everything I want to. I was going to go sneak back over to Microsoft and play some more Halo 4.
Fantastic.
Just guilty pleasure.
What about you?
I actually want to go see I haven't seen PlanetSide 2 yet.
Well, that's real easy.
Yeah, so I want to go over there.
You can walk through our booth too, John.
I want to. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get over there, but I want to play Need for Speed Most Wanted. Because I love every other Need for Speed. And the Criterion stuff is always.
Guys,
and seeing the video, it's Burnout with real cars and cops in it, right? So that sounds perfect. So.
Yeah, the Criterion guys do a great job with it too. It looks really good.
All right, well, thank you for coming on, guys.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Tal, Casey. That's the bonus stage of GameSpot, day 3. We're an hour and a half away from the end of E3. We'll be back in 5 minutes with our E3 news.